Hello and welcome, beautiful souls, to another episode of RLP is Healing. It's me, your host, Tamala, the Holistic Weaver, here to guide you through a deep, meaningful conversation of healing, growth, and transformation. Today, we are tapping into the wisdom of Goddess Zee, an amazing podcast host. I just want to say that you should check out her podcast, Holistic and Spiritual AF. Really good podcast. And, your girl, Tamala, is on there. And she's got many other amazing guests on there as well. You'll love it. And she's also an energy healer, a meditation facilitator, and guide for ancestral healing and collective consciousness. Her work is rooted in deep soul restoration, and her journey is nothing short of powerful. So, as you guys know, I love to take a good breath. So, let's take a breath with me, breathing in and release. Settle in, and let's dive into this sacred conversation with Goddess Zee. Hey, Goddess. How are
Hey,
you?
Tammy. I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for being on. To be open, I'm really excited. I've been waiting for this interview because I know that your story is amazing and people need to hear it. They need to know about you. And before we truly deep dive into your story, how's your energy today?
My energy, that's a great way to start, right? It's real. It's been real, real. I think I've experienced all the aspects and facets of the energy for the day. I was calm. I was laid back. I was anxious. I was, you know, uh, irritated. It was going fast. It was going slow. But now that I'm here, it's settled. It's calm, and it's ready to go.
You know what? I feel you on that. Some days it's a go, go, go. And then you feel all the emotions.
Yep.
And sometimes when those emotions come in, you're like, really, really, creator, this is
Right.
Mother Earth. This is what we're doing right now. So
Yep, they're
let's
like, "Sure is."
right. And they're like, this is what it is. This is part of
Yep.
it. You'll get through it. And it's like, but I don't want to. So let's get started from the beginning. What led you down the path of energy healing?
Oh, yeah. I love that, because, my life wasn't reflective of that in the beginning, so I thought. In the beginning, I knew nothing about energy. I knew nothing about healing. I was surviving. I was in survival mode, from an early age, from the age of 3, really.
Mhm.
But at the same time, while I was going through a lot of stuff throughout my childhood and young adulthood, I was having spiritual experiences that I wouldn't find out until I got tapped into energy that's what was happening. So I was doing just like everybody else, going through the life, going through the journey. And I had gone through quite a bit of trauma, throughout that process. Trauma early in my childhood, trauma in my preteens, trauma in my teens. Some were things that were self-induced, and some were by the hands of others.
Mhm.
All I knew is that life just didn't seem worth living. It didn't seem like a good place to be here on this planet. It seemed very unsafe. Um,
Mhm.
and so I would find ways to get out of this reality, whether that was reading fantasy books, or whether that was getting into the magical side of things, or the universe side of things. I was tapping into anything besides this, like this planet, this life,
I feel you on that. I
yes,
became
yes,
obsessed with werewolf romance
yes,
novels for a while there to get out of.
yes. Get out of this shit here. That's
Mhm.
how I felt. And so, along the journey, I had these trusted spirits that helped me. And I later found out those were my ancestors and spirit guides. And so they were guiding me. They were kind of going with me too. But it wasn't really until I had really, like, literally almost just cut the life short, and too prematurely. I think I was probably like 20, 23, 23 years old. So at that point, my life was just, it was riddled with trauma. Um, I was in survival mode. I had two girls, two kids already.
Mhm.
I was facing legal trouble. I was self-medicating with alcohol. I had found something else, because I was always seeking for something, to get out of
Yeah.
there. And I'm grateful for that today because it landed me in a position where I was in a facility where I had a therapist who suggested yoga and meditation. She also talked to me about things like PTSD and depression and stuff like that. And clearly, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist. This is just my story. And I had never heard of that stuff before. I thought that was just the life, And then she suggested yoga and meditation, like a way to kind of ease that
Mhm.
experience while working through some kind of therapeutic counseling and stuff like that as well, because I needed it all. And I remember the first time I did energy, tapped into energy was with the meditation. The
Mhm.
meditation was like,
Yes.
wow, this is kind of like the same experience where I'm like going somewhere else. I'm here, but I'm not here. And
Mhm.
the timelines are blurred. It feels like I've been meditating for 5 minutes and it's been 45 minutes. I'm
Yes.
experiencing visualizations and stuff like that. And um, I liked it. I kind of, I was an addict. So I was like, I want to do it more. So I'll continue to do that because it was okay.
Yes. I feel
And
that. I
then,
feel that.
yeah. And then with yoga, they were talking about, tapping into first starting out with your breathing and then like noticing the sensations of the body and how you were feeling. So I was just really learning a lot about myself, and energy on that level just from those two things right there. And so, like I said, I was a seeker. Before I was a seeker of bad things, and then I became a seeker of the good stuff. And so I wanted to know more. And I tapped into a lot of that different kind of energy work. But once I decided to go to school for massage therapy, this was after my husband transitioned from cancer.
Mhm.
Um, I I kind of made a vow. I was like, okay, I'm going to dedicate my life to helping people heal through alternative ways of healing. And so I got into massage therapy, and we did half and half, half mechanical body work, and then the other half was energy work. So Reiki, aromatherapy, other different types of energy work. And we were doing that. And it was, for me, it was like riding a bike. It was like, boom, I just slid right on in it, like I had done this before in another lifetime. And that was really the first conscious experience with energy. And so, yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like it was already in there, but I just reassessed it, reaccessed it.
I love that. And I love your story. And you already know, for me, it hits home for me because, of my own personal going to a holistic rehab. I
Hmm.
felt the same way. And, correct me if I'm wrong, if you feel this way growing up brown, I know that when I went into this rehab, talking about therapy and then talking about like these different things, like PTSD. I know in
Hmm.
our home, in my family, with any family, it wasn't talked about. Even with my friends that were brown, so brown of any, it wasn't something that was talked about. So how did you feel and how did you break through that that barrier with it? I had a challenge at first.
I think for me, it was fairly easy because I had pretty much separated from my family anyway, or they kind of separated from me, because I
Mm,
was born into one of those highly strict religious households. And
mhm,
so the way that I was living was ungodly and unacceptable. And these things were happening to me because I turned my back on God, and that's what they said. So I was just kind of out there, fending for myself. And um, I truly always say my ancestors raised me because they were always guiding me, them, my spirit guides and the universe guided me to what I needed to be guided to. So when I got into it, and then also I continued to have therapy sessions afterwards, I was trying to bring that back to them. I was like, hey, you guys could use this, like this stuff works. So I'm like, you don't have to talk to me, talk to them, and nobody was interested in that because I came from, like you said, our family and household is you don't tell nobody your business. Lord knows we had hella secrets in there, but no, we're just going to keep it
Mhm.
amongst each other and, lash out on each other. And, and
Yes.
that's just really sad. So I kind of found myself feeling grateful, like I was one of the lucky ones, that I was able to access it so early.
See, I look at that when you're in that ability to access it early and know what it is. And well, and maybe not fully know what it is, but begin to have an understanding of, okay, this is that support. And speaking of ancestors, I would really love, could you tell us about, like, you work deeply with ancestral healing, and I love the work you do. Why is work so important for collective and personal healing? Why is this type of work, the ancestral work, good for it and so important?
Yeah. It's to me it's everything. And to me it's everything because that was a big part of my journey. But our ancestors carry knowledge and wisdom that we have access to help to guide us on this journey of life, to
Mhm.
make things easier, to help us to heal through things, to help us to be successful, to help us to understand, to help us to break karmic cycles, to help us to continue to ascend our soul's evolution process on this journey. And that's kind of like what it is, like and so it's so incorporated in everything that we do. And a person can start as little or as large as they feel led to do it. But it's to me, it's absolutely paramount. I mean, the amount of skills that I have today, there's so many things that I can do. And I know people are like, gosh, how old are you? Like when I tell them, oh, I could do this, I could do that, I could do that. And they don't realize I have like a database inside of my DNA that I'm able to turn on and access.
Yes.
But in order for me to do that, it takes a lot of these other tools that we talked about, like meditation,
Mhm.
breathing. It takes me to continuously work on my spirit body to be able to receive the messages from the universe, all of these, gifts that we have access to, as well as our ancestors, as well as our spirit guide. Like, we really don't have to have a hard life. We only have a hard life when we disconnect from that, when we disconnect from source energy, and when we start trying to do things from a human perspective, because that's very
Yes.
finite. It is. It's so small compared to, it's like you got the universe at your tips. Like, there's a reason why this stuff isn't being taught, because society and um certain structures that we're living under today does not want you to know how big you are. Like, simple as that. They don't want you to know you have access to dreams, and you have access to gaining certain knowledge and wisdom that would make your life easier. And imagine if we did that on a collective consciousness. Oh my God, like, we are so powerful like that. But yeah, I mean, back to the ancestral thing, because I went on one, but to me, that's what it's all about. The life doesn't have to be hard. The life doesn't
And
have to be hard. It's only hard if, there's something, that a lesson that we need to learn. I find my lessons today are no way near as hard as they were in the beginning. I tend to get it, and I know exactly what it was. And I'm like, you know what? My ancestors were telling me that. My spirit guides were letting me know. They were warning. I chose to be hard headed and go do XYZ. And now here we are sitting in the lesson with it happening exactly the way they said it would.
yeah, and see, and that's something that, like you were saying, that we don't have to have a hard life. you
Mm-hmm.
know, and that, unfortunately, I didn't learn that truly until I was about 34, 35. And then I really fell into knowing it at about 37, that life doesn't have to be this hard. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to hustle and grind. It's inspired action that we take. We're enjoying it, we're loving it. It feels like a warm, sunny day. It's delicious. And I find that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes if people really, really, really tapped into that starting with self, and they really
Yes.
tapped in with that commitment to as little as 5 minutes. I think that's the hardest thing when it comes to clients and stuff. The hardest thing is getting people to commit. And I'm like, it's not that bad. Try it out for 5 minutes. Give it 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And some people are like, oh, I don't have 5 minutes. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
man, do you realize what you could tap into? You could hear your kid make a smart ass comment without even opening their mouth. That's how you'll know.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. Those gifts, but that's the society that we come from, where it's work. You got to work. I'm too tired to do anything else. I feel guilty for taking care of me, so it's kind of like we have to retrain that, so that's you have a hard job when it comes to that, because I'm telling you, I mean, it's hard for people to sit still. It's hard for, I hear people say more than anything, oh, I can't sit there and do that meditation. My mind just goes. I'm like, that's the point. Like, you
Part
want
of
to
it.
slow that down.
I'm like, we need that. Take that and
Yeah,
observe it. I always say
right.
observe it with a
That's what I say.
non-judgmental awareness. Just observe
Yes.
it. If something comes up, meet it with love and compassion.
Yeah.
You know me, I'll get on that soapbox real quick.
That's okay.
I know that you've worked with different people in different communities. Can you share a story about how the transformational work that you do has changed and transformed one of your clients, or people that come to your classes' lives?
Sure. Um, so I always talk about that I'm an intuitive energy healer. I don't know what to call it. And the reason why is because it started out as Reiki. Reiki was my introduction to energy healing. And I'm so grateful for it because, like I said, this is when I was touching energy and stuff. And I was like, oh, I could feel that. That's real. But since then, it's evolved, into its own thing. And I don't know if it's like from past lifetimes or whatever, but whenever I start to do energy healing work, and now it doesn't even have to be physical with the person, it could be distant. The person doesn't have to be there at all in order for this to happen, as long as they're open and ready to receive it. I work so closely with healing guides, my own healing guides and the other person's. And I was trained so early in the beginning when I was learning with Reiki and all of that, to
Mhm,
never put my will into another person's healing, to
mhm,
never try to insert what I think is necessary for the person. And
mhm,
so I feel like I got a lot of practice with that as at massage therapy. And then when I deal with clients today, when they come to me, they kind of, tell me what's going on with them. And then I do the work, which really I just kind of become the conduit and open up the portal. And so whatever healing is necessary for that person and that they're ready to receive, these master healing guys, they kind of take it from there. I'm literally just like a vessel. And so all sorts of things began to change for that person. They began to get awareness with things. They start to change maybe the way they eat. They start to change the people that they're around. They may change jobs. They may change relationships. It could be a variety of different things, from scales to small to completely changing their life over a course of time. Something that's been happening lately is that I am inspiring people to be their highest self, So maybe these people had these gifts inside of them and they kind of were maybe playing small or not using them at all. Just interactions with them will have, boom, it sets them off. It's like there was a clearing, cleansing, poof, and they're off. And I'm watching these people go, and I'm like, you know, I'm watching this happen. I'm talking to my spirit guides and healing guides, and I have to watch my ego because I'm like, I didn't get any credit for that.
I'm right. I get that. I do.
I'm
Because
like,
sometimes that ego will try to sneak up, will try to sneak
right.
up on us. Oh,
It
yeah.
will. And my ancestors and spirit guides are quick to right size me. They will be like, this is not about you. Number one, this is not why you're doing this. Okay. And never forget you're just the vessel. And so I'm grateful for that teaching because of that, I feel like people have a much fuller experience with their healing. And they have all kinds of different experiences. Something else that's starting to happen is people are coming to me who have recently had loved ones transition. And sometimes, like I said, they just bring these people to me, like, and it'll be some of the oddest types of meetings, and then I'll get to talking to them, and they'll start talking about this newly transitioned loved one, and then I'll just take a deep breath because I'm like, okay, this must be why, this person was sent to me, and I'll tell them about, a little bit based on their level of understanding, and it gives them a lot of solace to know that the person's not gone. They can talk to them. They'll start asking questions, and what it does is it helps them to activate that connection with their ancestors, and their ancestors will do the rest. I don't have to say, you need to do this, and you got to make sure you set it up this way, and it needs to be to the right and to the no. We don't do that because everybody's coming from different lineages and everybody's coming from different cultural backgrounds and everybody's got different things they're supposed to be doing. And so my ancestors are like, just get them on the road. And so that's what I do. I'm like I said, I have to check my ego. I'm like, part of me is like, am I going to get something for this? Like this
Like,
Instagram
when is
video
it
I
going to
watched.
come in?
Yeah, I'm like, where is the money?
Right? Right.
Where is the compensation?
The ego will just hop in.
What are we getting? Karma bucks?
Right? It's all, are there karma bucks on the other side? Like, what is coming? And
I'm
it's
like,
like,
you know what? I don't want another lifetime down here.
that's
Let's
right.
go.
Let's cut that shit. Cut. I take it back. Forget I even
Yeah,
asked.
I'm done. This is the last one. Like, you come down here, it's hard. We have
You
these
come really
conversations.
close.
Like, seriously, they're like, yeah, but it's awesome, and I'm grateful for it. So I look at it today and I'm like, I realize why I started the way I did. Because with massage therapy, they were so meticulous with everything. So every body I touched on, I had to do this whole cleansing, clearing process of myself first. After I had to make sure I opened properly, and then literally my hands would be like guided and stuff. And and people would always tell me, man, your massages are different. And I didn't realize that repetition made sure that they're like, if you are going to be doing this work, you're going to be doing it right, and so I'm grateful for that today. So now all kinds of really cool stuff happens, and I have to just remember I'm just the vessel.
Yeah, right. That's what I tell my students in the Kundalini Reiki class that I teach. I'm like, remember, we're just the vessel. That's all we
Yep.
are, is the vessel. I'm
But
like,
I don't know what to call it.
"Ooh."
Now that it's evolved into something else, other people they make names up and stuff, and I want one.
I'm like, to be honest, one day I was sitting and what came to me is the holistic weaver. And
See?
when I was going through like the different, earlier going through the different things that you do, like I saw it and I was like, oh, I was like, Guy Z is a weaver. She's a weaver
Yeah.
because you like weave together different, like for me, I weave together breath work, meditation, and this is just because this is what, what the creator, what spirit guides and where I've been led. And sometimes I don't even know what the heck it is.
Exactly.
I'm all,
And
well,
it's real easy to get, like I said, the whole ego involved and want it to be something big. Like,
just be
and it's like, you're not
grandiose.
the only one. It's like,
It's like there's
so
a
yeah,
million people that do what we do.
I know
There's
exactly.
a
And they're
million
like, we need
people,
everybody. We need
right?
everybody right now. So
I'm like, it is that time. We need to raise the consciousness. And speaking of that, so you guys know that I said about Goddess Z being a person that facilitates meditation. And I remember when I first met her, when I was on her podcast, we were talking about her just really getting started and putting it out there. So now I need to know more. So how has it been going? I've been seeing some of your
so cool.
meditations pop up and everything. Doesn't it feel delicious? I
It
love it.
is. You know, what's really exciting is the whole journey, the spiritual journey and the constant growth and evolution process. As long as I remain teachable, as long as I keep my ego out of the way. And so more gets revealed, and that was something that was presented to me. And sometimes my ancestors will just be like, do this. It'll be like, you know what, now that I think about it, that's probably some of the high ascended ones. They're not very conversational. They're like, do this. And then I'm like, okay, time to do meditation. Like, so they kind of ushered me to do meditation, facilitate that. And I was like, really? And I was like, wow, like, once again, I wanted to do something bigger. I'm like, it's been 20 years now. Why are we just doing this? Right. Whatever. And so I go and be obedient and I do what I'm told. And I take this meditation facilitation class, and then they're like, now go share that with the collective. And I'm like, nobody cares on TikTok about freaking meditation. I'm like, in this world we live in, I mean, I couldn't be more wrong. I couldn't be more wrong. I started out with like 10 people on my TikTok live meditations, and now I'll have anywhere. I think the most I've had is like 87 people, and like over 50 of them will hang. And these are like hour-long meditations. And 50 of them will hang, and I always get all of these, wow, thank you, I needed that, and this and that. And I'll put the replays on YouTube, and I'll go back and listen to them sometimes. And something that I noticed is I was like, oh, your meditation style is really, kind of hypnotic. It kind of takes people in a trance. It takes them deep. Because if you can sit in there for 50 minutes, 55 minutes, you're going somewhere. And I tell people the same thing. I realize everybody can't do that. Even 5 minutes, if you can stay on, is really good. But so that's something that I started putting on Insight Timer, which I love. I was using Insight Timer as a consumer, and I still do. And so now I've put a few on Insight Timer. And I think what I will do in the near future, probably like May, is I'm going to transfer doing those live meditations over there. And just kind of drive the folks over there. So yeah, and then I'm thinking about going in for the I get this wrong all the time, hypnosis hypnosis certification, because I feel like we're going into healing of timelines and stuff like that. And we're going into past life stuff. And they were like, see, you thought it wasn't big enough, And I was like, wow, this is cool. And something else I tapped into, they were like, why don't you call yourself a medium? Like, you're talking to us all day.
I have the same challenge. I'm like,
They were like, you've been a
no.
medium. And they were like, not only that, you also channel. They were like, you channel like crazy. What do you think a download is? I was like, oh yeah. Like,
Right?
so I'm starting to grow into more aspects of me. And it's like, this is dope.
Isn't
this
it
is
so?
this
Like,
is so
listen,
dope, and I love it. So yeah, I'm still
let,
that's still evolving.
let me tell you, do the hypnosis. Like, oh, let me tell you, I ended up getting certified in hypnotherapy and
Oh,
regression therapy. And then you start weaving it together.
mm-hmm.
So I do I call it hypno meditation because
Nice.
people say every single time it never fails. I would probably say 3 out of 5 new clients will do a meditation and we're doing an energy healing and it's at distance. at the end of it, I'm like, okay, and give yourself a nice face massage. And I'll just be staring, and I'm like, hello, hello. And they're like,
Yep.
oh, sorry, I was on a good one. And then, of course, here comes ego. And that's all you do, Tammy? Like, like I'm like,
Exactly. And you know what? And the message that I got from that was like when I worked with massage therapy clients, a lot of times that they would pass out. And that was the best way. My healing guys was like, we need their mind shut off. We need them zonked out in order for us to go in and do the healing. And I think with the age of Aquarius that we're in right now and the awakening that people are having,
yeah,
because so many people are conditioned with, oh, I don't have 5 minutes. I don't, oh, I'm too
yes.
busy for that. They're like, okay, yeah, we're going to do this on a grander scale, because if they are in that space,
Hmm.
then their spirit guides can safely work with them and transform more faster. And so I think there is being a call for that, especially since our cosmic family is so pretty much here. They're here. And so they're like, you know what? You know how to do this.
Come over
They're
here.
like, why don't you, yeah, come over here for a second, put this person out, and then let's, you know, we'll do the rest. And then they'll come back and you'll get the credit.
And see, the one thing that I started, so I had a dream last week. What I'll do is I'll tell you that sidebar about the dream and everything. But at the end of the dream, the connection was the people said, well, what do you do? And the statement I stated was, I help people connect with God. And then now it's like I've, been thinking on that and not even really thinking, but meditating on it and letting it sit in my heart. And I was thinking about it and I'm like, okay, so it's one of those things as we as meditation facilitators, yoga teachers, mediums, all of the things, all of these different spiritual and holistic practices, we help people connect to their higher self
Mm-hmm.
and connect with the creator, and we use creator to put that out there in the vast of like all beliefs, all, the creator is, the one that's their higher, their connection. And I've just been seeing like this big feeling and seeing this like big shift, especially with people that I've been talking to on the podcast, that they're all saying the same thing, that
Yep.
noticing this shift, noticing this evolvement. And myself, like you, I truly believe the open truth about shamanism, that a shaman is someone that truly knows themselves. Yet, in truly knowing themselves, they know that there is more to learn,
Oh, yeah.
always, never ending. And so I'm like, ah, here I go again, get on that soapbox. I'm like,
It's good.
I
Like, this is the place for it. Like, that's
right, this is
one of the
it.
reasons I started my podcast. Is like, hell, I talk so much and I got so much out there, put it out there where people want to hear it.
Mhm. So true. Now, what shifts have you witnessed in your life or in other people's life in your collective healing that you've been doing?
Um, oh, okay. So yeah, I think I just kind of spoke on my shifts is I'm growing into the more mature, healer, because, I've been on the path for a minute, and so I'm starting to
Mhm.
see, oh, wow, this was great. And plus I had to heal a lot of my own stuff. So a big shift for me is a major part of that shadow side. I had to go through the dungeon in the dark with no weapons. like and I came out, I healed a lot of karmic cycles, debt, generational trauma, things like that. And now I'm on the other side to walk into purpose as
Mhm.
well as to create good karma and also pass that on to my children. And so that's a new cycle and frequency that we are carrying that's going to be in alignment with the earth, the new earth that we're headed in. So I'm definitely doing my part on that.
Yes.
And the shift with other people is kind of what I described as well. More people just being more internal, becoming more internal, asking those more spiritual questions, not
Yes.
being so focused on material like we used to be, where it was about, oh, I got to get the house, I got to get the car, I got to. More people are worried about their spiritual evolution process. What's my
Mhm.
purpose? There's got to be more than this. Like for some of us that have been here for 20 years plus, we know how it was when we first started. It was like, this can't just be it. Like when I was in survival mode, I'm like, come on, man, this is, I'm not going to do the whole life like this.
Like
You
it's
got to
like,
give
you
me
know
something
what?
else.
I'm
Like,
not doing that. I am not doing it like this. I'm like, that's
right.
it. Who made me sign the contract for this?
Exactly. And not to mention now with the age of information, and because we have such a mass awakening on the planet, we have lots of people sharing information that is pivotal in people's spiritual growth. So um, I'm also starting to see like where a lot of the healing work that I've done for myself
Hmm.
is starting to affect my family. So I thought healing generational trauma meant like, come on, get on over here. You know you need this healing. Do it like I do it. It's
Yeah.
like that doesn't work for anybody, especially when your family knows how you used to be. you
Yes,
know,
right.
they're like they're watching you and they want to see some sort of authentic change in you. And so that's what I see with them. And I can see that you know, them also coming around and us healing together and spending the time that we have creating a new story and a new timeline. So that's actually really a really cool experience to experience, like with my mom and my sister, and then my grandmother. And then my daughters are watching that. And then my oldest daughter just had a baby. So I'm like, wow, to be at that phase, like go through all of that, get to this other side, recognize that none of that was in vain. That's what it was for. And to see, wow, this is like the whole ancestral thing we were talking about. Like, we're the living ancestors carrying forth a new generation. And
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that's dope too.
Isn't it? It's so
Particularly
beautiful.
in, families who have experienced the most trauma in the last couple hundred years. So, because there, like you said, nobody was even freaking talking about therapy. Like that wasn't for us. That was like for other people, who or people who had money and stuff like that. So now we're learning that there's alternative forms of healing that everybody has accessibility to. If you want to put in a little work to do it, 5 minutes, guys.
Right?
how
And
how
that's,
free do you want to be?
you know what? Oh my goodness. It's so funny. That was something that one of my coaches used to say. How free do you want to be? How free do
How
you want to
free do you
be?
want to be?
How free do
Yeah.
you want to be? And it's true. Like
Right. Who's going to
consistency.
say, I want to be a little bit free?
I'm like, I'd be like, well, I am not the coach for you. Like,
What
oh,
is that even?
I'm like, what is a little bit? You mean like big for you? And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no,
I was like, I don't
no.
even know what that means. It means not ready.
That's what it means. It means not ready. It means let's not do that.
Not ready. Not ready now.
Yeah, because the thing is that I'm like yourself, I've watched my family, grow. I look at it as it starts with you. That's where it
Hmm.
starts. And then it flows
Yep.
from you. It flows, you fill your cup up, and now the overflow is just pouring out on your family, on your friends, and on everyone. And then they're feeling it. Yeah, the struggle is real. It can
Yeah.
be a struggle, but when you're consistent about it, like sometimes I don't meditate in the morning. Sometimes I'm at lunch doing my meditation at
There you go.
lunchtime. And so, one thing that I really want people to know is I want them to know where they can find you,
Yay.
work with you, or even join your classes, hear your meditations, hear all the beauty.
Aw, thank you. So I'm all over social media. Like I said, I feel like I keep adding platforms and I'm just going to stop. So I'm
Right.
all over social media at Holistic and Spiritual AF, and that's and spelled out. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Medium, Substack as well. If you like to read, I have the podcast that airs, Holistic and Spiritual AF, that airs on the first and third Fridays of the month at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, pretty much anywhere podcasts are um, at. And then let's see, the live meditation. Because I just kind of was doing that, I didn't really actually have like a specific day and time, and people ask me that all the time. But right now, you can find the replays on YouTube, and then if you're on TikTok, you can catch me sometime, maybe. But
I
like I
still
said,
can't catch you. I still cannot catch you. But I'm like, I
I
wonder
do
if
it
she'll
late.
catch me. I'm up at 7:30 in the morning doing
Oh yeah, see, we're
meditation.
the opposite.
We're complete polar opposite. By the time you're doing it, I'm like, this
Yeah,
is
you're one of
locked
those
down.
early birds, and I'm like night owl. So yeah, I do mine pretty much like 9:30 is the earliest I'm gonna do it. 10 o'clock will be the latest. And that's usually because we go so long, so deep that if somebody does pass out, they're just hanging out in the astral realm and their spirit guides will bring them back safely. So, that way it's no harm, no foul since I don't have them physically around me. And let's see, what else? I think, Insight Timer, find me at Goddess Z. On Insight Timer, I'm really looking to grow that because I want to spend some more time over there. And let's see, I have a book, The 5 Stages of Shadow Work. That's on Amazon.
Yes.
Yay!
Yes.
And I just dropped a new ebook, Ancestral Altar Guide, how to connect, how to create and use an altar to connect with your ancestors. So,
Oh, I'll check that
so,
out.
and you can Google me, guys. Oh, and I
Right.
guess website, you know what? Holistic and Spiritual AF is like a website template. And I'm working on putting the content on it. But right now, it's beacons.ai/holistic and spiritual AF.
Oh, I love that. I'm like, hey, I understand though about keeping the website on just, okay, you're going to pause and hang out here. Like
It's a
my
lot of work.
website, redoing it. So I'm like, okay, we're just going to remove everything and just put Linktree because you can find it through, or we're going to put Square on there, you know?
Yeah.
And I want to close because I love affirmations and setting the intention. What's one you'd like to share today? What is your affirmation, your mantra, or your intention that you like to use when you start your day?
Hmm. Hmm. That is a good one. I was just going to shout out one from my Instagram. But how do I start my day? My day starts different all the time. Um, I guess, one of the first thing I say is I say, I'm grateful that I woke up this morning. That's like one of the first ones I say, like as soon as I open my eyes. I give thanks for that. So that's kind of lame, but if you want another one, I mean, to me, it's powerful, but
I think it's powerful.
thank you. I have all kinds of affirmations. Oh, I like this one. This one kind of works for both of us. In the silence of meditation, we hear the whispers of our ancestors guiding us towards healing and harmony.
Yes, I love it. I'm like, that's it. I'm jacking it. Don't worry, guys. I will put it in the little bloop, in the bloop bloop, so that you guys can see how to find Goddess Z, so you guys can see her affirmation that she uses. I'm the same way though with the gratitude. Lately, I wake up hearing that song. I am grateful.
Oh, yeah.
And I haven't heard that song in a while. Like I haven't actually listened to it and I haven't scrolled past anybody's TikTok that's playing it, but it just pops in my head as soon as I open my eyes. And I'm like, okay, is this the reminder? This is the reminder.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And I
thank
guess
you.
for me, that's awesome because like there was a time that I wasn't grateful to be alive
Right.
at
And
all.
that. And that. And, you know, Z, I got to see this whole thing was deep and I loved it. Thank you
Oh,
so much
thanks for
for
having me.
coming on and sharing your wisdom, sharing your light, sharing your journey with us. And remember, guys, healing is a journey and not a destination. So take what resonates with you, leave what doesn't, and trust your inner power. Until next time, this is Tamala, and happy healing.